Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for September the 7th, 2020. I hope everyone had a happy and safe Labor Day weekend. Let's go ahead and get started with this Raw recap as we continue on the road to Clash of Champions, which is coming up on September the 27th, just about 3 weeks from now. We kicked off the show with Michael Cole from Smackdown replacing Tom Phillips on this week's show. Now, I will admit, I did not notice right away that Michael Cole was doing commentary. I must be going that senile that it took me 30 minutes to even realize, oh, it's Michael Cole, not Tom Phillips. Wow. I really am losing my mind when I cannot even tell the difference between Michael Cole and Tom Phillips. We had Randy Orton come out to cut a promo starting off the show. He talked about having to face Keith Lee one more time on Monday Night Raw, even though he already won the triple threat on last week's show. He said the more times they cross paths, the more likely it is that Keith Lee is going to get a punt to the head. DJW with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, DJ. I appreciate it. He says, after watching Raw tonight, Aaron, I can honestly say that SmackDown has my full emotional interest in all WWE. SmackDown is red hot. The top two storylines on SmackDown are far superior to everything going on at Raw at the moment. I agree that SmackDown was way better than this episode of Raw and better than AEW. I know that might not be the most popular opinion, but SmackDown's been pretty darn solid right now. Anyways, that's SmackDown. We're here to talk about Raw. Thank you, though, for the super chat. And Caleb Jacobs with a $2.10 super chat says, my guilty pleasure is the Cedric heel turn. Again, I appreciate it, Caleb, but to Caleb and everybody else, remember, if you're going to send a super chat, hashtag stick to the topic. Let's get back to the beginning segment here. I will get to Cedric in just a few moments. Orton talked about the match with Drew McIntyre and said it will only happen, though, if Drew is able to recover in time from his fractured jaw at the hands of the 3 punts from Randy Orton. Randy said if Drew cannot compete, he wants Drew to hand him the championship. Then all of a sudden, we had sirens go off. Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. Nope, was not Scott Steiner. And by this point, I know it's not Scott Steiner. When it first happened, I legitimately got my hopes up that maybe we were going to see the genetic freak show up as a surprise. But by this time, I know better. When we hear the sirens, it's the ambulance. And sure enough, Drew McIntyre, during a pandemic, he stole an ambulance and drove himself to Monday Night Raw. He got into the ring and laid the Viper out with a Claymore kick. Then Drew McIntyre was asked by Adam Pearce to leave the building. We had footage shown from earlier in the day of the Beatdown Clan 2.0, or the Hurt Business. They bullied some janitor because they thought the janitor was making fun of Shelton Benjamin's mama. I like how they're still referencing Shelton's mom after all these years. I mean, that's a throwback to what, 2006? Pretty crazy. So we had Team Catering, which is Cedric Alexander, Ricochet, and Apollo Crews, versus the Hurt Business in our first match. And a stat was going around on social media about how for the last couple of months, every single match Apollo has been in on Raw has been against a member of the Hurt Business, I believe since June 15th. So if you think this storyline / feud is stale, well, there's your answer right there. That's why. Cedric got jumped during his entrance, and finally we had the match. Apollo got worked over for most of the match, and then all of a sudden Ricochet was going for the tag, and Cedric pulled Ricochet off the apron and attacked his buddy. Then Cedric got in the ring and hit the lumbar check on Apollo. Shelton Benjamin pinned Apollo with the pay dirt, and then we had the Hurt Business celebrating, and it looked like Cedric was going to join them, but it wasn't official. He was on the outside of the ring. He gave him a smile, and he took his leave. But yes, Cedric Alexander made his heel turn on this week's episode of WWE Raw after getting attacked by the Hurt Business before the match even got started. We had Adam Pearce backstage, and Drew McIntyre returned even though it was believed that he was leaving. He came back, and basically the storyline here was that Drew needed to find his phone, and that's why he came back into the arena. Adam Pearce was talking to the security guys and trying to make sure that no more uninvited guests would show up. We had our next match, which was the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. Not much to this match. Basically, Garza and Andrade still are not getting along. Garza walked out on the match. Montez Ford pinned Andrade with the frog splash. Why these guys even got a rematch, I have no idea. Then all of a sudden we had a surprise. We had Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, the Smackdown Tag Team Champions, appearing on Raw. The Brand to Brand Invitational is back. It was gone for a month or so, and now it's back. There was a promo after the break, and basically we had a challenge issued, champions versus champions. You had the Street Profits taking some shots at Cesaro, saying that Cesaro and Shin are the Bar 2.0, and Cesaro has had so many partners that he might need to have an STD test. Damn, that was pretty harsh. That would have been one of those lines that would have gone, oh, if we had an actual in-person crowd and not the virtual crowd. TJS with a $2 super chat says, so is Adam Pearce basically the GM of both shows? I mean, that's unofficially what he is. There's been no real title given to him on TV. He's just the official that's the figurehead for the time being, making decisions. But of course, we know he has to answer to Vince. He's basically Vince's stooge. He's a much younger and good-looking version of Pat Patterson. I mean, that's what Adam Pearce is at this point. But it would be cool if he actually got to be GM and got to do something, or maybe even wrestle at some point. Why not? Adam Pearce can go. I'd like to see him get in the ring and do something as a superstar competitor in WWE. We had our 24/7 title segment of the evening, thankfully. R-Truth was in this dining room with a big platter of various foods and snacks. But when they lifted the, whatever it's called, you know, when you lift up the, I guess, top to keep the food warm, he lifted it up and one of the ninjas' heads was there. And then we had all the other ninjas show up, but they were unsuccessful to take the title off of R-Truth. He managed to escape, and that was that. Did not care about this segment. Next up, we had Peyton Royce versus Billy Kay. Partner versus partner. Well, former partners going at it. Peyton Royce has brand new entrance music, and so does Billy. Michael Cole said there's nothing iconic about Peyton's new entrance, and truer words have never been spoken by Michael Cole. More generic, crappy music from this Def Rebel or whatever the hell they're called, the group that replaced CFOs. I wasn't really impressed with either theme song. Not much to the match. They gave each other some weak slaps. Billy got a near fall with a roll-up, but in the end, Peyton Royce won with her neck breaker finisher. And then after the match, Peyton gave Billy a hug, and that was that. They're still friends, I guess, even though last week Peyton threw Billy to the wolves during Raw Underground. After this match, they hugged, and I guess they're still cool. Whatever. We had the Mysterio family interviewed, and Rey Mysterio said he cannot wait to get back into the ring and finish off Seth. Dominic started to talk a little bit, but then he was interrupted by Murphy, who appeared on the big screen. And Murphy said because of Dominic, Seth Rollins has turned his back on him, Murphy. And Mysterio said it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Rey Mysterio said that Murphy reaped what he sowed. Murphy challenged Dominic to a street fight, which Dominic accepted for the main event segment. Can you believe it? Even 6 months ago, could you have predicted Murphy versus Dominic Mysterio as the main event of Monday Night Raw? I surely was not predicting that even 2 months ago. We had Asuka and Mickie James up against Natalya and Lana in a tag team match. It was announced that next week we will have Asuka defending her championship against Mickie James. Mickie went for the tag, but Asuka had been knocked outside of the ring. Mickie decided, okay, plan B. She went to the top. However, Asuka came back, tagged herself in, and finished off Lana with the Asuka lock, and Mickie stopped it. And I guess that was setting up a little bit of dissension between them for next week's match, a little bit of tension between the two competitors for the championship. Backstage, we had Shelton Benjamin talking with Cedric Alexander, and Shelton was a little bit doubtful that maybe this was a double cross and Alexander really wasn't joining the Hurt Business. He was skeptical. We had our VIP Lounge segment. Cedric came out with the Hurt Business and was officially initiated into the group, given the t-shirt, the colors of the Beatdown Clan 2.0. But Shelton wanted to know why. Why was Alexander really joining this group? Cedric cut a promo, said he would rather learn and earn. And he said he should have known. He was told that if you team with somebody like the one and only, you're going to be put to the side. And Alexander was like, what about me? What about Cedric? He actually didn't say what about Cedric, but he said, what about me? And of course, when he says that, you think of Raven, right? Just as he was really getting into this promo, we had the Viking Raiders come out along with Ricochet and Apollo. There's a big brawl, and you know how this goes. After the commercial break, promo segment turns into a tag team match, players. 8-man tag. Ricochet got the hot tag, and we had a moment where Cedric and Ricochet, the former friends, face to face. MVP took advantage of the situation. Cedric tagged himself in and got a near fall, and then everybody started fighting. Ivar did this suicide dive to the outside onto the Hurt Business members, but he landed in a bad way, and he immediately started doing the X to himself. Referees came out to check on him, and he was possibly hurt pretty bad in this match, unfortunately. While this was going on, Ricochet missed the 630, and Alexander hit a Michinoku driver. 1, 2, kick out by Ricochet. 3. Referee counted 3, even though Ricochet kicked out. Now, I assume what happened here was because Ivar got hurt, they went straight to the finish, but Ricochet, there was miscommunication, and Ricochet did not get the memo that they were going home. They were going straight to the finish because he kicked out, and the referee counted 3 anyways because he was given the word to just end the match and finish it. So yeah, really, really messed up ending here, and hopefully Ivar is not seriously hurt. TJS sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, TJS. He says, I want Ray's daughter to hit me with a kendo. Wow, you are quite the kinky person, TJS. I must say that. That's the first time I've ever heard somebody use that line before. We had Drew McIntyre on the phone, but then he revealed that it was the wrong phone, and he was coming back into the arena once again. And just for those of you in the chat room asking, a little bit of summer allergies here. No, I do not have the COVID, just typical summer allergies, and it's particularly bad today. So my apologies if I'm sniffling a little bit here. It's been a wild couple of days, that's for sure. And just all the live streaming might be catching up with me as well. But yeah, it's allergies, guys. So I appreciate the concern, but I'm all right. We had Raw Underground take place, and we had Kevin Owens show up, and Shane McMahon was there. And of course, there's the history between the two of them. Owens said that he wishes he could say he was excited to see Shane, but Shane is still a jackass. We then had Randy Orton versus Keith Lee. Why WWE booked this match, I have no idea, but they went with it anyways. Why do we have to get rematch after rematch after rematch? I really don't know. But it just doesn't make sense to book a match like this, in my opinion. Like, how does it really benefit either guy? Keith Lee already beat Randy Orton. Move on to something else. Why do you need to keep doing this match over and over? Randy Orton stalled. He had a thumb to the eye when the referee wasn't looking. Orton attempted the RKO, but Lee actually was so powerful he would not go down for the RKO. I thought this was pretty creative. I did like this sequence. Orton sidestepped Lee on the outside. Lee ended up running into the barricade. And then back in the ring, Orton hit the RKO. He was successful this time. But before he could go for the cover, Drew McIntyre showed up. Claymore took Randy Orton down. Adam Pearce was on the stage upset about what happened. Officials came in to check on the fallen Viper, Randy Orton. Mike B with a $5 super chat says, Raw Underground is as entertaining as getting a root canal. Wow. I don't know if I would go that far, although I've never had a root canal, fortunately, but I've heard they're not a fun experience. Raw Underground was pretty rough and pointless this week, as it's been most weeks. But I'm not sure I would say it's that terrible. I mean, it's not like Lashley's sister's terrible. I don't think it's that bad. So anyways, we had our first, well, really our only Raw Underground fight, which was Aleister Black versus KO, Kevin Owens. And Black had already won a fight before Owens showed up. Two of them started fighting. They fought on the outside of the ring. And then we went to a commercial. And when we came back, Adam Pearce was backstage with Randy Orton. Adam apologized, and Randy said Adam's word about McIntyre being gone means nothing. We had Shayna Baszler in a handicapped match against the Riot Squad. Nia Jax was at ringside, and she was taunting her own tag team partner. Liv Morgan took advantage of this and rolled up Shayna and pinned her. Yes, Liv Morgan pinned Shayna Baszler. Wow. I'm a little surprised WWE booked this. And I'll talk more about this in just a minute here. After this match, we went back to Raw Underground, and Owens and Black were still fighting. And then they started fighting other guys. So it just became this huge brawl with all these different people. Then we came back into the Thunderdome for Nia Jax versus the Riot Squad. They were taking turns doing handicap matches. Shayna was taunting Nia just like Nia was taunting Shayna. Then all of a sudden the lights started flickering. You know what that means. Retribution must be nearby. They have given up attacking SmackDown, by the way. It's only Raw now that Retribution is targeting. The lights went out just as Morgan was perhaps on the verge of beating Nia Jax. Actually, I think she went for a cover and Nia kicked out. And then the lights went out. Retribution's logo appeared all over the place. So they must have some friends in production that produced a nice logo for them and put it up on the screen. That was very nice. Or maybe they have some really good hackers that got that logo up there. They cut this promo backstage. And they talked about in their distorted voices. This kind of felt like the Black Scorpion from WCW, just a whole bunch of them. I'm sure Ken will appreciate that reference. And they said the Thunderdome is only a facade. And they talked about how they've been discarded and disowned. Makes it sound like these are released WWE stars, but I feel like they're NXT stars. They sure look like them. Especially the tall guys, which I'm almost positive is Dominik Dijakovic if I had to make a wild prediction on it. And the big guy, probably Dijak, said, the darkness of Retribution will seep into the pores of every superstar and all your so-called universe. Kind of a silly angle here. They're doing the Black Scorpion. And now they're not even targeting SmackDown anymore, where they had a chainsaw, and now they're not even bothering. I'm still not digging this storyline, and I'm still not sure how they're going to explain why would Dominik Dijakovic and Mia Yim and all them be doing this? Like, why? And if it's release stars, like that doesn't even make sense. And most of the release stars are elsewhere now. So, yeah, I don't know how they're going to make this work. I really don't. We had Rey Mysterio backstage with his family, and he said threats are not going to scare them away. They will be at ringside, and they will know how to handle themselves in the main event when Dominik goes against Murphy. We had another Raw Underground segment. Owens and Black were still fighting after all this time. And then all of a sudden, Dabba-Kato, whatever his name is, showed up and beat them both up after they've been fighting for like 30 minutes. So I guess technically this was like the longest Raw match in 30-something, well, not 30-something years, but longest Raw match in a very long time, that's for sure. Longest Raw Underground match for sure. We had Randy Orton leaving with his gear. He had his luggage. He was holding his jaw. And all of a sudden, Drew McIntyre attacked him once again. They were in that area where they have the ring interview spot. And Drew laid him out with yet another Claymore. And after the commercial, Randy Orton was put into an ambulance, the same one that Drew arrived in, and Randy Orton was taken away to a local medical facility or a hospital. On WWE's Twitter account, they actually called it a hospital. I wonder if the social media manager is going to be in trouble for that one. We then had our main event of the evening, Dominik Mysterio versus Murphy in a street fight. Mysterio's family came out. They had kendo sticks. They were prepared. Murphy, I'm not sure if he has new music or not because it's been a while since he came out on his own without Seth. No Seth Rollins on this show, by the way. So Murphy was all alone against the Mysterio family. Murphy tried to take out Dominic right away. They brawled on the outside. Dominic did a crossbody off the LED screens onto Murphy, which looked pretty cool. And I've been saying this, Dominic has looked really impressive. He continues to look impressive for a guy that is just getting started in the business. I mean, if he keeps going at the rate he's going to be a really big deal, I think. After the commercial break, Murphy did manage to gain control of the match. He tried to put Dominic's eye into the steel steps, that old trick, but it did not work. Murphy got a steel chair, used the chair, and then Dominic was caught up in the ropes. Mysterio managed to intercept and take the kendo stick away from Murphy. And while that was happening, the ladies, Ray's wife and daughter, they freed Dominic. Dominic ran to the outside and did a sunset flip powerbomb, sending Murphy through one of those tables, not the announce table, but just a regular table that was set up on the outside. And then back in the ring, Dominic hit a frog splash, but Murphy actually managed to kick out of the frog splash. And then Ray got in the ring. They tied up Murphy in the ropes, and then they all got the kendo sticks. Ray hit him with the kendo stick. Dominic hit him with the kendo stick. Ray said to the camera he hopes Seth Rollins is watching because payback is a bitch. And this is when Ray's daughter and wife got in the ring, and they took shots with the kendo stick until Dominic was declared the winner when Murphy finally verbally said, "I quit." That ended the match. And after the match was over, the Mysterio family continued to beat down Murphy with the kendo stick, 4-on-1 attack. I thought this was a really entertaining ending to Raw. The show, for the most part, was kind of, just okay for me. But I did like the ending of this. And the Cedric turn was good, but I felt like it could have been better. And what happened in the 8-man was disappointing with Ivar getting hurt. Show was very much a mixed bag for me. What did you guys think of it? I'm going with a C+, and I was originally going to go with a C. I was thinking of a C up until the end. I really liked the ending of Raw, so I'm going to give it a C+. Slightly better than your average episode of Monday Night Raw. Mr. Anderson gives it a B. Kev with a C+. Mr. Heavy Metal Hero Dude with a C-. Daniel Sims with a C. Tyson with a B. And Wrestling Superstar 83 with a B-. Curtis Butler with a C. And the Game is On 100 with a C. J-Spin 401 with a C. And D-Ross 2 with a C. And Bruce Marvel says C. He also liked the end. And Mohammed gives it a C. So a lot of C's. A lot of you agree with me on it. Maybe even a little bit less thoughts on Raw. Lower opinion of the show than me. But thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will be back for the NXT recap Super Tuesday 2 to determine the new NXT World Champion. I'll be back for a live stream with that. We got AEW Dynamite, No DQ review, Smackdown, another busy week ahead. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Ken, I appreciate it. The allergies, they come and go during the summer, and I'm actually looking forward to the colder weather because I do feel better as far as the allergies go once the weather cools down and the humidity drops. But take care, everybody. And DJW with the $2 super chat says, "Hold up, Aaron, I have a question for you." All right, DJ, what's the question? You send me a super chat, but no question. So I'm going to sit here for a minute and wait for DJ to send his question. Jeremy Dorset gives the show a C-. And everybody here is in bed. Caitlin's in bed. She's asleep. It's almost midnight here. So I'll give DJ another 30 seconds here to reply with the question. And Greg says, "Man up, Riff. There's no sick here, pal." Yeah, well, there's also people trying to sleep here, too. So trying to wrap this up before midnight. I think it might have been Dynamite that just threw me off, having to do a live recap at midnight. I mean, there are times I definitely miss doing these live streams on the West Coast. It was a lot easier in the sense of being able to finish before like 9 or even 10 o'clock at the latest. DJW with a $5 super chat says, do you think it's time to take the title off of Drew McIntyre? It's doing nothing for me. Probably. If the plan is to do Randy Orton versus Edge at WrestleMania, you might as well do it for the title. I feel bad for Drew that he's been champion during the pandemic, a bad period with no crowds, and I think that that's really hurt his momentum. But he's also done very well, I think, as champion. A DJW with a $2 super chat says, and wait for a live crowd to put it back on him. I agree. You could have him lose the title to Randy, and then eventually you could put him back in the title mix once we get fans again and have him make his big comeback story. So yeah, I feel bad for Drew, the circumstances, but yeah, I think it's time to change things up and go with Randy and build up towards that final match with Edge, the rubber match for the championship. Anyways, guys, thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you all